Kellen Moore met with reporters on Monday, and one of the things we focused on today, one of the reasons I want to talk to Scott is talk a little bit about the defensive struggles. Well, we focused a lot. I think a lot of fingers always get pointed at the quarterback. My contention is, I think Spencer Rattler has been steady and consistent and error-free and continues to make good, quick decisions with the football. Playmakers aren't making plays on the offense. Defensively, your slow starts have been horrendous. I mean, in 4 consecutive games now, you've allowed your opponent to score touchdowns on each of the first 2 possessions. Like, that's got to change. And Kellen Moore on Monday addressed that.
Well, I would say the first 2 plays are really good plays. So I don't think it's like we're not ready for the game or anything. First play, excellent play. We get a couple, 2-3 yard stops. Second play, they run a draw. DeMario's right there, pounces on it. We got this awesome 3rd down opportunity to go 3 and out to start the game, and then we miss the up. We're not connected from a coverage standpoint. We got to do a better job there, and then they get the big explosive once they kind of cross the 50. And so I don't think it's all bad. I think it's just, hey, we got to be really, really sound from the start, and we got to take advantage of every opportunity. And that's the thing that shows up is the big plays that impact the games could show up from play 1 to play 75. It doesn't really matter when it is. They all essentially have the same value, and so you got to take advantage of each opportunity you have.
Scott Shanle, former State linebacker, good enough to join us now. Hey, Scott, we always appreciate the time, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
I don't know if you got to hear that entire cut from Kellen Moore, but we were talking about the same. There's 4 consecutive games now where they've given up touchdowns on each of the first 2 drives to their opponents. You see that? What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that the Saints offense hasn't got to play the way they want to play. I mean, all week they game plan a certain way, and I would say 100% of the offensive coordinators around the league would prefer to get out to a lead so that they can continue to do what they want to do, and that's run the ball when they want to, not throw the ball when they don't have to. So I think the slow start by the Saints defense consistently is hindering the Saints offense more so than meets the eye, because going out there, nobody wants to throw the ball 40 times with Spencer, and they've been in that situation a couple times this year just because the defense gives up points too early in games.
You were on the 07 Saints team. You all started 0-4. And then you broke through and you went on a nice winning streak after that, won 4 in a row to get back to 500. When this team lost its first 4, then obviously broke through, can you kind of put us in the locker room, Scott, of what that's like when you're going through that struggle early in the season like that, trying to break through to get a win?
Well, yeah, it's tough because, everybody wants to start off fast. Give yourself a really good chance of making the playoffs when you do that. Digging yourself out of a hole in the NFL season is tough. It's stressful. Like you said, we were at 0-4, but we took it one game at a time. We won a big game on the road in prime time against Seattle, kind of got confidence back, fought back to 4-4, and then we just kind of ping-pong back and forth and had a 500 season. But it takes so much energy to dig yourself out of those holes. That's why I always say 0-4 versus 1-3 is night and day. Like, those things matter early in the season just because of the amount of energy it takes. It's easy as a coach to tell players, hey, 1 week at a time, don't look ahead. But you're human. You're looking down the road. You want chunks at one time. It just never happens. And it's tough to win in this league.
As a defensive player, what do you see when you look at Spencer Rattler? I'm Flushing last year, Scott. I mean, they were playing with a MASH unit. I'm talking about through new staff, everything, 6 games. What do you see as a defensive player when you look at Rattler this year?
Well, I think Spencer has played some really good football. Coming into the season, I thought he earned the right to be the starter over Shough from what I saw in preseason. There's things that Spencer did better in the preseason, whether it was getting rocked in the pocket and getting back up, his ability to utilize his legs maybe a little bit more. I liked his toughness, and I thought a team would rally around that. Spencer has some moxie to him, some presence. A lot of people probably don't watch him at the postgame press conference, but he does everything right. He handles himself like a franchise quarterback. Now, wins and losses are always tied to the franchise quarterback. And I think Spencer's done an outstanding job of not turning the football over. If there's a way to lose your job to a guy who they just drafted, who everybody wants to see, it's turn the football over. And I think Spencer understands, if I just don't turn the football over, they'll have a hard time benching me. But there's some truth in that, but there also comes a time where you have to be the reason you're winning. And so I think there's this fine line with playing quarterback. You can be too conservative and not turn the football over and lose games, or you just got to cut it loose. And I think Spencer, if my advice to him would be, you got to cut it loose. If you turn the football over once or twice a game, it's on the defense to get the ball back. But you have to be the reason that you're helping this team win. That's a franchise quarterback.
I mean, it's a sentiment I shared earlier, Scott. And we also, though, haven't seen players around him elevate him. I think that's fair to say as well. Do you feel like the players on this roster are capable of being elite-level playmakers to help elevate the quarterback?
Yeah, I really do. I think you ask a lot of quarterbacks around the league, would you like to have first-round draft capital invested into every offensive lineman in front of you? They would all say yes. You know, you re-sign Juwan to a big deal. He's a receiving threat. He's not going to do much in the blocking game. You have a first-round pick in Olave at wide receiver, who, in my opinion, they target too much because he hasn't been productive enough to warrant those targets. Shaheed needs to get the ball more. You have all these weapons, and I think there are plenty of weapons with Spencer. My biggest issue with the offense is they're too reliant on 11 personnel and the passing game. They need to get bigger. They need to run the ball, utilize the two backs they have. They're putting a lot of pressure on a quarterback to win the game every week and not enough on the running game. But again, goes back to your first question. The defense has to play better out the gate so that they can run the ball the whole game.
So let's talk about the defense. And Scott Shanle is our guest, former Saint linebacker, Super Bowl champion. I was so interested on Sunday by the fact that Pete Werner had his lowest snap count since 2023, and they got Stutzman and Stallbird reps. Now, Kellen Moore kind of hand-waved it a little bit. Do you read anything into that, Scott?
I do. I've been in the league long enough to know I don't think it has anything to do with the way Pete's been playing. I've watched the film. Pete's been one of the leading tacklers, if not the leading tackler in every game. They're trying to get younger guys reps, and I understand that. That's part of the game. There's a good chance this is his last year. Now, when I say I've been a part of this business, it's much easier to go to Pete Werner and tell him you're going to sit down 10 plays than go to Demario Davis and say you're going to be down 10 plays. I think that's part of the thing. Pete also goes from $1.5 million this year to $6 million next year on his contract. He's a big contract bump the way his agent set up his contract. So, there's going to be a restructure with Pete. I think they'll want him back. Demario, I don't know. This is last year of his contract. So it's part of the business where it's hard to go to a guy like Demario Davis and say, hey, we're going to play some young guys in front of you.
Yeah. Do you have a thought on what you've seen from the young defenders?
Yeah, I think there's been growth. Last week was a step back. I don't think our secondary is probably a strength of this team. They're really young. Sanker's done a good job in the reps he's gotten, and I liken it a lot to the way Spencer got thrown into the fire as a young guy last year, and those reps paid dividends and helped him become a better player this year. I think that'll happen to Sanker. There's a lot of things he can get better at in coverage. I think Kool-Aid had his best game last week, but here's the thing about the NFL, man. It will humble you. 6-7 days later, it will humble you. You can have your best game ever and then turn around and they don't care. They're going to go after you. So I think the secondary can play better, but secondary play is always tied to pass rush, and the Saints are near the bottom in pass rush, not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. And I think that's probably their biggest problem defensively is the pressure rate.
Did you notice any impact plays from Chase Young?
I didn't. I saw PFF had him graded high. I don't give a whole lot of credit to PFF and how they grade players because a lot of times they don't know, what guys' responsibilities are. But I think the main thing for me getting Chase back is just having another body in that pass rush rotation. Pass rushing is an exhausting feat, man. I mean, it is exhausting. So just getting another big guy in there, not taking any steps back, getting him back in game shape, I think that in itself is a victory. But just getting him on a rotation, I think he'll have a bigger impact in the coming weeks.
A couple more minutes here with former Saint linebacker Scott Shanle. Scott, is there a time I think we could all be realistic and say at 1-5 we know that this isn't going to be a playoff team. I don't know. Well, let me ask you, before I go any further, would that be an assumption in the locker room?
I don't know. I don't think, I put myself back in playing mode instead of media guy mode, and nobody in the locker room, until mathematically you're eliminated, ever will walk around and say, okay, this season's a waste. And it's a fine line. I'll look at the Browns. The Browns trade away Flacco in a division where Burrow's hurt, Lamar's hurt, and now you're sitting in a locker room like that saying, what the hell are we doing? We could win a game, be 2-4, and we're trading away our quarterback who gives us a chance to win, and we're looking to the future. So I don't think the Saints are at that point yet as far as disgruntling veteran guys in the locker room. But that Patriots loss was a setback because you had a little momentum from the Bills game. You won a game, and you wanted to see some a stacked wins. You start losing one or two more games, and then I think you start looking towards the future as far as the way you're playing, guys.
So when you're sitting here at 1-5, it feels like, just what we talked about, you're getting young guys opportunities probably for the future. But the one thing that they have to address this year at some point, Scott, I don't know if you agree, is like you use the 40th pick on Tyler Shough. You're very likely going to have a top 10, if not top 5 pick. And you need to know if you're going to use that on a quarterback. Well, you got to know what you have in Tyler Shough. Do you get to a point where you play the rookie?
No doubt. You have to. And, I kind of said, I think a lot of people have the same feeling about Spencer. He's been a pleasant surprise. He's played some good football. But at some point, and you said it perfect, you got to know, you don't want to roll into next year thinking you have the guy or the guys on your roster and you don't. So I think if you lose to the Bears, I think it's time to give somebody else a shot at quarterback. And, Spencer could go out there and throw for 300 yards. I think you're at that point in the season where you can't just get into December and say, all right, now, Tyler, go out there, roll out there, and do it at the end of the season. You want to see him out there when other teams are still fighting for playoffs and guys are still fighting on other teams. I think that's how you get a really good look at Tyler and see if he can do this.
Saints are at the Bears this weekend, then they're home against Tampa, and then back-to-back road games against the Rams and Panthers. No rest for the weary. Even the Panthers have found a way to win 3 games this year. He is Scott Shanle, former Saint linebacker. Scott, we always appreciate the visit, man. You'll get him on Twitter at Scott Shanle. Thanks, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.